Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the C.L. Bryant Show. I am C.L. Bryant, and I certainly am glad that you decided to tune us in today. Throughout the fruited plains of America, and which is still the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. We are here still in the land of the free, the home of the brave, and I'm really glad that our friend and colleague, as well as United States House Representative Steve Scalise, is still with us in the land of the living. Your prayers for him and his family as he does battle back from the injury he received this morning. Later with that, more on that a little bit later in the show. Coming up will be Dr. Abrahams, Ralph Abrahams, which is, he's a good friend. He's a good friend of Congressman Scalise, and of course he is a part of the LSU Health Science Center system. I want to say this as we start off this show, and of course our friends in southern Arkansas and East Texas and North Carolina want to welcome you aboard here for this great American journey that we are on right now. And then later on the show, Jonathan Gilliam, Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam, the host of The Experts, will be with us a little bit later on in the show as well. So don't go anywhere. It is a jam-packed show, and there's so much for us to talk about. But I want you to recognize now the heroes, the good citizens that wear the uniforms on the cars. Many of them drive, are the words protect and serve. They defend with guns. It was men, women with guns today that saved the day, that saved carnage in Alexandria, Virginia. It's like, I guess if you live in D.C., to compare Shreveport to Alexandria, is like taking a trip up to Bossier, between Bossier and Benton. That's the distance. It's a suburb of Washington, D.C., Alexandria. The CIA, all of that is over in that area there. Crime, as far as crime is concerned, most of my fellows with Freedom Works, they have their little apartments, and some of them maybe even bought little houses over there in the Alexandria area. It's crime, as far as crime rates are concerned, almost non-existent. Nowhere where there's freedom do you have no crime, but it's almost non-existent. And the last thing that you're thinking about in a neighborhood like Alexandria is the type of thing that did happen this morning to Congressman Steve Scalise. But keep in mind, while others were running for cover, it was men and women in blue, the thin blue line, held today and saved lives as they do every day. Every day it is those men, those women who run toward the gunfire, who face down the nuts and lunatics in this world, so that you and I, our children, can sleep peacefully in our beds at night. And I am telling you that they do not get enough credit for standing in the way of danger and certain disaster. Those congressmen per person, per man, per woman who may have had anything to say about this morning's shootings said these words: "They saved us." And whether you know it or not, whether directly or indirectly, You never know the lunatic that goes to jail, that does the perp walk in the bracelets. You never know how they may have saved you from that burglar, that robber, that drug dealer, that person who is unstable. You may never have come in contact with them, but because of the men and women in blue who do come in contact with them, the nuts and the loons in this world who do sign on for a thankless job, because of them, many of us never come in contact with people who would ruin and change our lives. You can believe this, even though I thank God that our friend and colleague and Congressman from Louisiana, Steve Scalise, is well. I thank God that he is well, but he will never forget what happened to him today. His life of his family is forever changed, especially as long as he's in public office. After today, we will never think of the safety of our congressmen the same. Not talking about the Paul Ryans and the Mitch McConnells or even the Steve Scalises who had their personal details assigned to them. I think about this a lot. And I think we'll be thinking about it more as we go forward, because America today did change us, but I'm very grateful that they have decided to play America's game tomorrow for the benefit of charity, as has been played for 100 years. They will be playing the congressional and legislative game, baseball game tomorrow, and they have the courage. I'm glad they have the courage to do what is necessary to do. I'm back. Coming up at the top of the hour, Dr. Ralph Abraham. Got a lot to talk to you about between now and then. Come back. All right. Yeah. I think that it's just possible that this legislation, our national legislators, may find a way to and to get by some of the nuttiness and looniness that they had been engaged in. This was something, even though as tragic as it was, that I think sort of broke the insanity, at least the mindset of insanity. I'm just hoping that so many of the politicians on the Hill were involved in. I mean, the dementia that almost went around, derangement syndrome that went along with the Trump derangement syndrome that was happening in Washington. It had taken them to a level of absolute frenzy. And this, I think, is a way to snap them out of it. I don't know if you've ever watched Cesar Millan's The Dog Whisperer. There's something I learned, and I've learned a lot of things about how to train my own animal by watching him. I noticed that there's a state of mind, and I noticed that human beings get into this. And people who sometimes are hysterical, you have to slap them in order for them not to snap out of the hysteria. You know, a person starts screaming and carrying on uncontrollably. Sometimes you just have to shock them. You have to slap them in order for them to stop. Well, Caesar has a very interesting way to do that, to get a dog out of a state of mind. And I hate to refer to people, like that, but what I'm getting at is this: there's a state of mind that has to be broken many times, and it takes just a little shock in order to get people to become more aware of the direction that they need to go in, or what they might need to stop doing in order to calm the frenzy. Well, folks, that is exactly what I think has been allowed to happen here. I don't believe that God sends tragedy, but I think he allows us to learn from it. I think that he does. There is evil in the world that sends it pays its own wages. It pays its own wages. God gives gifts, but the sinful people that we are and the evil that we deal with, it pays its own wages. And sometimes it does result in death, if you're familiar with the scripture. You know what I'm saying. But I want you to understand this. Even at the UPS stations in San Francisco, we don't know what tipped this loon, I'm not even going to call his name, over the edge in Washington, D.C., but all the way over on the left coast of this country, a UPS shooting, killing 3 in San Francisco, and then a suicide. The suicide, he shot the 3 and killed himself. UPS workers. They're not going postal anymore. They're going ups. Yeah. There is no doubt. You can read it. You don't have to have tea leaves, crystal balls, or anything. Just believe your own eyes. There is a frenzied desperation in this nation that I know is in search of healing, saving, need for revival. As far as I know, and I'm certain of this, Jesus still saves. Now, folks, let me tell you this. It's strange. And I noticed a new, it happens all the time whenever there's a national tragedy. Or something that sort of snaps us out of it, snaps us back into a reality that tells us that at the end of the day, regardless of what our political makeup is, at the end of the day that we are Americans. Now, this guy who did the shooting and all that, he was a Bernie supporter. Got to bring that up because it's true. And I often wonder, I've said it today, in fact, I tweeted it out a little bit earlier, what in the world would have happened in the news media, especially CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC? They would have had a friend, they would be foaming at the mouth, fanatical about a Trump supporter who may have done this to a liberal. But you have a Bernie supporter doing this to a conservative. And I'm not saying that they're not reporting it. They are. But I'm saying they're calling the shooter, a madman and all that kind of thing, which he was. But there is no reference to his affiliations. Huh? And you heard me tell you this, that I am certain that progressive liberalism it makes you nuts. This man was to the far right, far left. He was to the far left. He was to the far left. I'm to the far right. But he's to the far left. And he's crazy. Very few times, unless you are just on the Tim McVeigh fringe, is any type of conservative going to do something like this. The extreme in any direction is just not healthy. But progressive liberalism, even when it's not extreme, causes this type of derangement. I had to go political just a little bit because no one on CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, they're not going to say it. So there it is. But what is amazing to me is how tragedy and pain makes politics become unimportant. I think there's a lesson here to be learned that we all as Americans must understand, that we must survive till the next day. And I think the message now is that whoever the nuts are in this world, and oh yeah, you're going to have the people calling for more gun laws and all that, but no. I want you to hear what the congressman said. The only thing they had out there to protect themselves, any one of them, was a baseball bat. And Jay, both of you and I have played baseball, and I even though I could hit a fastball pretty good, I don't know if a bat would have warded off them bullets. I don't know if I could hit them bullets. I'm CL. I think everybody should have been packing. He wouldn't have even shown up if he'd known everybody was packing. I'm back in a minute. CL. On a Wednesday evening here in the jeweled cities of the Arthur Report and Bossier, as we stream nationwide throughout the greatest nation still on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, America. Friends, you are not my enemy because you disagree with me. But if you're a lunatic, they perceive that you are. I was talking about the difference between a progressive liberal mindset, the one that this shooter had earlier today, and that of a passionate conservative. A progressive liberal mindset, and you see it on the college campuses, you see it on the streets of America with the burning and all of that type of thing. If you see it with Ann Coulter, I see it when I go out to speak. A lot of conservatives, Alan West, he'll tell you about it as well. Deneen Borelli, she'll tell you about it. And the lunacy actually presents peril to anyone who disagrees with the lunacy. One of the things that is notable about what happened this morning, and folks, this happened at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, around 7:15, I believe it was, Eastern Standard Time, which would be 6:15 here, Central, and people still turning over in their beds out in California, not even thinking about getting up in the Pacific Coast. But the only thing that we Southern boys think about shooting at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, is a deer. Right? You might be in a duck blind too, who knows? But here, 6 o'clock in the morning, the only thing that you would think about wanting to shoot at is a deer. And I know that that's probably got some of the PETA people, the pet people all upset, but deer is good. Deer good. And I can't wait until deer season rolls around again. There's a buck out there that I really want to get, but I'm going to be out there early in the morning. And so here you are in Alexandria, Virginia, and you have a person who is premeditating to shoot people because he wants to know if who are they Democrats or Republicans. He had premeditated this. At 7, he got up out of his bed, evidently with the ammunition, with the guns, both the long rifle and I don't think they've identified yet, Jay, the long rifle or what type of what he was working with. But he had to get up out of his bed. Just like you or I, if you are an American sportsman, a son of the South, a sportsman's paradise loving deer hunter like I am, a hunter, he had to get up out of his bed, going out with the mindset to hunt people. Who does that? He did it. I wish he had lived so weak. Well, you know what? I'm glad he's gone because now we don't have to feed him because that's exactly what would have happened. We would have psychoanalyzed him. He's 66 years old. He's old enough to know better. But he was not young enough to care. Yeah. The difference in passion and lunacy is passion. A person who's passionate, he will discuss, maybe heatedly, his point of view and will listen to your heated side of your argument, as we often do here. But we'll respect each other. My socialist Stephen, who calls in, we've met, and he's a great guy, great American, but he's wrong. As far as I'm concerned, he's real wrong, but he's a great American because he's at least exercising his freedom of speech. MP Dave, myself, Joe, and a lot of the callers, we all disagree with him, and he knows that. But there is no way I would want any harm to come to Socialist Stephen. I'm passionate about the way I believe, and he's doing it the right way. He's passionate about what he believes, and we can discuss it and go on. But this lunatics, on the other hand, if you disagree with them, they want to hurt you. They want to shout you down, burn you up, hurt you. That's the difference. And what's happening in this era where tragedy and pain is having to snap us out of that type of lunacy is that there is a group of people being spawned and taught to prefer lunacy and fanatical action over passion and conversation. Friends, that is the world we live in. Perilous times that we live in. I asked you this question yesterday, and it is a question especially in light of what's going on now. What are you prepared to do about it? Don't listen to the anti-gun folks who are going to come out of the wallpaper, because they're coming. Talking about how, he shouldn't be able to get the gun. Yeah, he should be able to have the gun, but we should always have responsible citizens there to deter lunacy. Responsible citizens. Any one of those people out there could have saved this. Of course, lunatics, you just never know. I'll be right back with Dr. Ralph Abraham when we return.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. It is I, your native son, C.L., here with you on this Wednesday, emanating from the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier, and throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America. All of our friends in North Carolina, as well as East Texas and Southern Arkansas, I want to welcome you along on this great American journey. Also on the line with me now is another of our native sons, Congressman Ralph Abraham, Dr. Ralph Abraham, Congressman. He is proudly representing the 5th District, and I want to welcome you back to the show. How have you been, Ralph?
I've been good. Thanks for having me.
So glad that you're here. Before we get into the meat of our conversation, I certainly want to get us to update from your big vantage point of what you've been hearing about our colleague, our friend, and, of course, our native son, Steve Scalise. How is he? Have you heard anything?
Well, nothing in the last couple of hours. You know, after came out of surgery, he was been on the critical list, and that's sometimes not unusual, depending on the extent of the surgery. And you know, I really have no knowledge of how extensive the surgery was. So, as you alluded to, he's a great personal friend. He's been a mentor for all the Louisiana delegation, for sure, but really for all of the Republican Congress. So, you know, thoughts and prayers are certainly with him and his family, and we will continue to monitor and watch as closely as everybody listening will tonight.
Absolutely, and all the best to he, his family, his wife, for certain. Now, Ralph, Congressman Abraham, I want to talk to you about what's going on as far as Dr. G. Ghali, who has pitched a plan to the Department of Veteran Affairs to Secretary David Sulkin on Tuesday, and in ways for LSU to partner with Overton Brooks to improve veterans' access to health care. Fill us in on what is this about.
It's a partnership that can, with the right people in the room, come to fruition, and the benefit will be mostly and greatly to our wonderful veteran community, who deserves and has earned the best care that we can provide them in the world. Dr. Ghali, of course, being Chancellor of the LSU system in Shreveport, we have met with Dr. Shulkin up here in D.C., who is the Secretary of the VA, who happens to be an MD also. Had a very good, open, frank discussion as to the deficiencies of Overton Brooks and what could be done to repair those leaks in the dike, so to speak. And to Dr. Shulkin's credit, he was open to suggestion, all ears, and seemed willing and able to move forward with this. So what Dr. Ghali and his cadre of physicians and support people from LSU system can bring, of course, are specialists at the VA in Shreveport that is lacking now, such as neurology, orthopedics, internal medicine, those types of deal. But also, they can bring some good standard of care medical practices that I'm sure the VA is adhering to now. But when you have what in this case would be actually a public partnership, where two different entities come and meet in the middle, and their only goal is to do better for their patients, that's a great day.
I think that is a great day, and you answered the next question that I was going to ask you. So this is not a takeover of the VA by the LSU Health Science System, but it is a merger. And I guess the question that I do have then, this will be more of a private sector engagement. How is that going to shake out fiscally?
Well, we're not sure yet. There are some choice program funds that we in Congress give the VA that certainly could be shared with the LSU system. But the nuts and bolts and the logistics certainly are down the road, but hopefully shortly down the road. What we have done with our initial discussion, we've got the parties that both would benefit together. Got them talking. They seem to be on the same page. Dr. Golly is just a phenomenal leader of the LSU system. I know him personally, went to medical school. He was in my medical school class at LSU Shreveport. So I have the utmost confidence that, he can pull this off with Dr. Shulkin's help. And I am looking forward to continued dialogue and certainly getting this thing done.
Absolutely. And now the question that so many of the audience want to know is, how then did we get to this place? How did it, in your estimation, how did it get broken so badly? And how long really has this Veterans Administration medical system been sliding somewhat down the hill?
Well, the short answer is too long. And, of course, the day is too long. But, unfortunately, this has been going on for years. And, I think the blame can be shared by many entities, Congress being one of them, the VA bureaucracy certainly being another one, the union structure up here in the D.C. area being a third. So, again, enough blame to go around. And we in Congress holding the purse, literally, strings that allow the bureaucracies like the VA to be funded, we need to hold them more accountable. You would hope that the Veterans Administration has the best interests of the veteran in mind.
Yeah.
And what I can say in most cases, if in the great majority of the cases, they do. There are a few bad apples. We want to get rid of them, kick them out, and shut the door behind them. But until we can pass some legislation, get some the ability to fire individuals in the VA system, which, by the way, the House passed this week, the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Act, which will hopefully allow Dr. Shulkin to actually do that, then things are going to continue as is, and we just cannot allow that to happen.
I just got a correspondence wanting me to ask you, when you say choice funds, what is that?
Choice funds were funds that Congress has dedicated. The choice program was a program that we in Congress passed last year or two that would give the veteran, with the VA's approval, and that's where we had to go back and revisit the issue, the ability to go to a private physician, such as myself, or Veteran's Choice, wherever he or she wanted to go, in lieu of the VA system. If they wanted to go to the VA, that's fine. But if they want to come to a private doc, well, we want them to have that option too. The mistake Congress made with the first bill that was passed, we, I guess naively thought the VA would handle it very efficiently. Well, they didn't. There was a mileage rule. If the veteran lived past a certain amount of mileage, well, maybe they could apply for the choice program and be accepted. If they had to wait a certain amount of time to see a physician or certainly a specialist, well, then maybe they could get into the choice program too. But that was left up to the discretion of the VA. What this act that we passed this week did is now give that choice to the veteran. And that should have been the way it should have come down the first time. Unfortunately, it didn't. But I think we've ended that hitch, and now we can move forward. But the choice funding is for that choice program.
Dr. Abraham, I want to ask you then, finally, and if you can stay with me through the break, you might have to answer this on the other side of the break. Okay, everything sounds really great. I mean, I'm all in for whatever we can do for our veterans. That sounds absolutely great. But the audience is going to want to know then, how long are we looking at for this type of program to initiate or to actually come into being? We're talking with Congressman Ralph Abraham of the 5th District right here in our Louisiana, and I am just thrilled to see that there is something finally, and actually Louisiana, LSU they reached out to us to engage this matter through one of the great minds in medicine, Dr. Golly. We'll be back with Dr. Ralph Abraham when I return.
Very superstitious, writings on the wall.
CL back with Dr. Ralph Abraham, Congressman of the 5th District. I'd like to quote him now, where he is quoted in a press release, Washington, D.C. "We know there are continuing issues at the Shreveport Veterans Hospital that must be solved. There is no way we can use existing resources available to us to further enhance the quality of care for our nation's heroes, that our nation heroes deserve." And I want to say that anyone who is thinking of this type of evolution in medicine for our nation's heroes, to me, in themselves, is a hero. And we're talking to one of them on the line with us now. Dr. Ralph Abraham, G.E. Golly, is one of those along with him. And the question that I ask you, Doctor, is this: when we left, the things that we have been talking about as far as the refurbishing of health care for our veterans, and partnering with Overton Brooks, how long a process are we talking about here?
Hopefully, the next 30 to 60 days, we'll get the ball moving very quickly. We passed the bill in the House this week. Now it moves to the Senate. I think the Senate will take it up and actually pass it very quickly there. It goes to the President's desk. He has already indicated that he is fighting at the bit to sign it and get some help for these good, wonderful veterans. So I think this will be done in the next 30 to 60 days.
Fantastic. That is great. And Doctor, final question for you. Tell our folks how to get a hold of you and get in touch with you if, in fact, they want to chime in on this all-important issue.
Yeah, all they've got to do, I mean, we've got, several branch offices, but, the office number up here in Washington, D.C. is 202-225-8490. And, we asked everyone, not only just in Louisiana, but, across the nation, that if they have a issue, and especially if they have a veterans issue that, we can help them with, please call. That's what we're here for.
Thank you so much. We do encourage you to be very vigilant. Our prayers are with all of those who we send to office to represent us. These are perilous times that we live in, and we certainly are. You certainly are on our minds, and God bless and keep you.
We appreciate that. Y'all have a great night.
Dr. Ralph Abraham is with us and has been with us, and I certainly want to thank him for having been on. Folks, it is time now that we do have an evolution in our medical care, particularly toward our veterans. And let me tell you something. One of the reasons why we want to do that is not only because of those who have served, but it now appears that you and I, along with our children and our grandchildren, are going to have to start thinking about not only defending ourselves on foreign soil, but how to defend ourselves here on our home ground. You've heard me rail on this many times, and that is law and order. And we're going to have to provide some incentives for those who would be soldiers, yes, serving in the military. We are going to have to think of ways to provide incentives for them. For the longest time, there was such a movement to deter and to discourage young people from having a career in the military. I've told you this before. I am the son of a World War II veteran, grandson of a World War I veteran, and a great-grandson of a Spanish-American War veteran. And the one regret that I have is that I listened to my father, who told me that they had fought the wars, go to school. I was going to become a Marine. I wanted to go join the Marines. It was actually peacetime. Vietnam had just ended. But Dad gave me the advice not to go, and I took it. I do regret it. Although I don't regret having listened to my father, I do regret these years down the road that I didn't wear the uniform. But I support definitely those who do. And any of you who are stealing valor out there from those who have actually worn the uniform, you stop it. Because there are men and women who have put their lives on the line for this country. All gave some gave all. And when we look at the Veterans Administration, the question that I asked Dr. Abraham is, how do we get here? How do we get here? And folks, there's a lot of things to go around, a lot of blame to go around for how we got here. We should have the best veterans health care system, and we have, I would imagine, in the world. But it's not what America. It's not up to our standards, up to the American standards. Let's bring it up to that, so that our veterans, those who have served, can get the great benefit that they deserve from a nation that they served. And we need to give incentive to those who will serve in the future. Police officers everywhere, we applaud you for the job that you do. Yeah, we applaud you for the job that you do. Coming up a little bit later on the show will be Jonathan Gilliam. He is a special agent with the FBI, former Navy SEAL, and the host of his own show, The Experts. You can go into cyberspace, Facebook Live, and be with him. I think it's nightly at 9 p.m. He'll tell you all about that. But there's so much more for us to talk about here tonight, and I do want to explore the American mindset that takes place when there is a tragedy, when there's pain. Tragedy and pain seem to do strange things to us in a good way. Question has to be, why? Why do we have to wait for that, for us to have those kumbaya moments? I'm CL. Be back in just a minute.
Been waiting for so late.
All right, we're back. CL Bryant Show moves on down the road on this Wednesday here in the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier. Streaming nationwide throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. You know, it really has me troubled. I'm glad to hear that Steve Scalise is going to be fine and grace of God there. But what really has me troubled, too, this shooting in San Francisco, not long after the shooting that happened there in Oakland, I think the anniversary of that was yesterday or day before yesterday in that nightclub a year ago. But here you have the shooting in a UPS facility where they are gathered that morning for their, I guess they give the drivers pep talks or whatever, I don't know, before they go out on their runs, their routes in the UPS office. Now, this guy, folks, I want you to get an idea of what's going on here in the minds of people and how people are beginning to comprehend the way to settle an ill feeling toward another person. According to employees, and it has been confirmed, I guess it's been confirmed that he was wearing a uniform, UPS uniform, and other employees confirmed that he was an employee there who had it out for the manager. He had it in for the manager there. And so I guess the manager winds up dead, and two other people wind up dead, and then he kills himself. I solicit to you, and the number to call if you want to talk about this is 318-320-5335, or whatever we've been talking about today, 318-320-5335. The number to call if you want to talk now is that number. Now listen, I solicit to you that this man had many more problems than this. Oh, yes, he did. His problem was much deeper than the manager. Oh, yeah. They say that he lived somewhere in the Sunset area there with his children. So maybe he was a single dad, or I don't know. And so that's exactly why we're going to be giving away the survival kit that is being provided as well by our good friend Louis Avalone, Avalone Doors. It's our Father's Day survival kit. In this Father's Day survival kit, and we will be taking calls. Well, you can start calling now, 318-320-5335, 318-320-5335, and put your name. Jay, get yourself a pen because the lines, I'm sure, are fixing to just blow up. 318-320-5335, and if we don't get you, call back. But tonight and tomorrow night, we will be giving away the Father's Day survival kit. Now, the book, The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump will be in the survival kit. My movie, Runaway Slave, autographed copy of Runaway Slave, will be in the survival kit. And this is what Louis Avalone at Avalone Doors is doing. Louis Avalone is giving away 1 year free, no sweat maintenance plan, which includes 1 hour of a free handyman work, a free handyman work, in addition to a free checkup of your garage doors. And I'm sure they'll make some arrangements for you if you don't have garage doors. But the idea is to give Dad a little downtime to read and watch movies that he likes. 320-5335, 318-320-5335 is the number to call. If you miss, call back. Call back. The numbers, the phone is lighting up. But that's the Dad's Survival Kit. President Donald Jay Trump's book will be in that survival kit, The Art of the Deal. I didn't have time to get that autograph for you, but my autograph film, in the movie case, Runaway Slave, will autograph that for you and be giving that away. But Louis Avalone, Avalone Doors and Ironworks, has donated 1 year free, no sweat maintenance plan, which includes 1 hour of a free handyman work in addition to a free checkup of your garage doors. Give Dad a little.
Don on the line.
Who's that, Jay?
Don.
Okay, give Dad a little downtime to read and watch the movie, and someone else tackle the honey-do list. I think it's a fantastic Father's Day survival kit. Going to Don. Don, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, friend? Okay.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead, Don.
Regarding the shooting in Washington, and I've not had an opportunity to listen to very many of the comments or the programs today, but I think, well, the Republican Party, like I've said in the past, they have a problem getting their message out. They have a severe marketing problem. But on this particular topic, I think that they need to address like what Kathy Griffin did and just like throwing gasoline on the fire, what the Women's March and the comments were being made by Hollywood and the major media. And even going back to after Hillary lost and Bernie Sanders lost, where their comments were saying we're going to keep fighting, and not accepting the election results and keeping this chaos causing with Trump.
Yeah. It does create the climate, Donnie. It creates the climate for this. When you have I guess an alleged comedian doing something as stupid as she did, but then you have this thing, this Shakespeare in the Park, where they actually are looking as though they're killing the President of the United States. Donnie, I hear the music. I got to run. Thank you for calling.
Okay.
I'm CL. I'll be right back. CL, back with you here on this Wednesday, streaming live across the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America. On with us now is Special Agent, FBI agent, former Navy SEAL, the host of his own The Experts on Facebook Live. He is my friend as well. That's Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, you know, I got so much response from you. Jonathan, thank you so much for having me on when you filled in for our mutual friend, Sean Hannity, a couple of Fridays ago. I certainly did appreciate that, brother. Glad that you came on with me today, though. How are you?
I'm doing good. Listen, it's always good to have, whether you're hosting or I'm hosting, it's always good to have the mix of experience and knowledge that we bring to the table. I think there's few people in media that have real experience, life experience. You know, most people are just talking heads. So it was good to have you on.
You're right. You're absolutely, Jonathan. You're absolutely right. You could not have said it any more clearer. But let me ask you this, man, because this thing with Scalise, and then this thing that happened out in San Francisco, the shooting out there as well today. When we look at the security and safety of our elected officials, congressmen, United States congressmen and senators, and so forth, what do we lose if we start making them inaccessible to us, or should we do that?
Well, you know, I'm not trying to be funny here, but the number one thing we could do to make them safe is not necessarily making them inaccessible. It would be making them stay home. I mean,
that is funny, though.
I know it sounds funny, but it's the truth. You know, our representatives should be at home. We have technology now where they can vote through technology, and they need to be amongst their constituents. That's why there's over 400 of them, and that's why they're spread thin, is because they're supposed to be at home. And I think that in the climate that we have, where we don't have enough law enforcement, where we have, all these threats going on, I think it's just best if we just have them stay at home and do their job where they're supposed to.
Jonathan, let me ask you this then. You said something that I think all of us should think about, and that's not having enough law enforcement, but you having been in are in law enforcement. Let me ask you this. Have we ever had enough law enforcement? And since if we haven't always had enough, what was the difference in law and order then when you and I were coming along, and law and order and law and order now? What's gone wrong?
It's called corporal punishment. You know, we used to get spanked in school. We used to get discipline. And now we took what we call that in the military and in law enforcement is force multipliers. So, you know, when you in the military, when you go do a mission, or when you're in law enforcement, you do like federal law enforcement, you use the local police as a force multiplier. Well, our law enforcement used to be able to use the people as force multipliers. They were aware, they were disciplined, and they respected authority. That's all gone. So, you know, we have people that when a shooting starts, they're frozen. They don't know what to do. When we have a fight break out with a cop, most people film it. They don't even get involved to stop the fight to help subdue a person.
Wow.
So, really, CL, that's the reality of it. Is it's not the fact that our numbers of law enforcement have dwindled or anything like that. It's just that there's no force multiplier for law enforcement anymore.
Wow. Let's continue down that trail, because that's probably a term that is not, I have so many friends who are in law enforcement around the country. I've heard the term, but I don't think that it's one that we really pay a close attention to, because we don't understand that we are an extension of law and order as far as our police force is concerned. Is that what you're saying to us?
That's very well said. Yeah, we are an extension. I mean, the reality is, CL, what we call first responders are really the second responders. We're the first responders. We're the initial responders to almost anything that happens. We're there. The citizens are there. And if we're not prepared to be involved, if we're not willing to be involved, whether it be voting or whether it be stopping somebody who's pulling a gun out, this guy had a long gun there in the congressional shooting. It's not like he had a small pistol that he pulled out. There had to have been people, if they were aware, that would have seen that guy with that rifle.
Yeah.
And yet everybody's
Yeah.
unaware and locked into their lives, and they're not helping.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like you're saying. I saw a guy who actually was filming sort of like the aftermath. I think the first few shots he got all that on his iPhone camera. But this is a question I want to ask you too, and that is this, because I know you carry, I've carried, and this is the thing. Is it then feasible that those who are in Congress or those who are civilians should we all be packing? Should we all be carrying? Those of us who can carry legally.
Well, let me put it this way, CL. Nor you nor I or anybody that we know, 100% of the people that we know and that live in this country never started a country. Okay, our founding fathers did, so they probably knew a little bit more about what was needed than we do, because we've never gone to that point. Well, they said everyone should have the right to have a weapon. Now, if men that came over and started this great country felt as though we needed that right, then I think everybody should have the ability to carry a weapon. But, I don't believe in just giving people their rights and not educating them on the importance or the fair use of their rights. I think people should be taught gun safety in school. I think they should be taught gun safety in college. And it should not be something that is a surprise. It should be, yes, I want to carry a weapon, and I already know how. And it sounds crazy, but, the way liberals are, they just want you to be unaware and dependent.
Yeah,
I don't believe in that.
And when we come back with Jonathan Gilliam, who is former Navy SEAL and Special Agent FBI, host of his own show, and he's going to tell us when we come back how to tune in and get engaged with the experts. His Facebook Live show, folks, it's hot. You need to get involved with it. He's going to tell us all about that when we come back. But I also want to talk to him about what we can expect from the loony left as far as guns and gun ownership and the availability and all of that when we return with my friend Jonathan Gilliam. I'm CL. Be right back.
And
The C.L. Bryant Show continues, and on the line with me is Jonathan Gillum. And Jonathan, tell the folks how to get a hold of you and all of your thoughts and tune in and how they can tune in.
They can find me on Twitter, @JGilliam_Seal, and on Facebook at Jonathan T. Gilliam. And here's the thing, CL, is now I'm broadcasting my show simultaneously because I have viewers that donate money to my GoFundMe page. I've got brand new equipment that's been donated, so I've got a high-speed computer now. I can broadcast my show, The Experts, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube all at the same time. So every night around 9 p.m., again, I don't work for a network. This is me, so I try to get it out at 9, but usually it starts about between 9 and 9:15. I'm broadcasting live on all three of those platforms.
Awesome. Modern technology is making it all happen. And actually, Jonathan, it's the wave of the future that even we are examining as well. I'll be talking to you about that. Now, you said something that I really want to take up on and certainly want to you to elaborate on. You said none of us have ever founded or started a country. And man, right. Truer words have never been spoken. But you said that somehow in the genius of our founding fathers, they found it necessary, they thought it necessary for us to be able to defend ourselves. The loony left is going to be coming out against guns. Is that going to be the status, the way they do things? Is that just going to be the way it's going to play out? What can we do when these idiots start talking?
I mean, today, I don't know what that congressman's name was. I don't have it in front of me, but he came out talking about gun violence before they even had a press conference talking about the reality of the injury.
Wow.
And, you know, Chuck Todd, I just read a tweet from him saying that we shouldn't politicize stuff as though it's the people on Twitter that are politicizing this stuff. It's the media, it's the liberal left. And I put out a tweet today, CL, and I'm going to besides being on my own show, I'm going to say on your show tonight that I am predicting it's not the new face, but for most people, this is going to be the new face of domestic terrorism, is communism.
Wow.
Because this guy is a communist. We can call him socialist.
Yeah.
He's a communist.
Yeah.
And this is what they want. They want to kill conservatives and anybody else that stands in the way of their utopia.
You know, you mentioned the liberal media, Jonathan T., and let me tell you, man, I don't see anybody on the liberal side. I tuned in CNN, I tuned in MSNBC to see how they were reporting this thing, and no mention of Bernie Sanders, man. They calling him the guy they calling the shooter a madman, yeah, rightly so, but no mention of the ideology that drives this guy. And if that had been a Trump supporter, you know what the deal would have been. There's no question about that. And go ahead.
You know what I just saw on Twitter was the most ridiculous thing, was some guy was saying that this guy was a loony bin, but if we really wanted to see where violence was coming from, it's because Trump told people at one of his rallies when he was running for president to punch people if they try to come up to him. Now, they're still going off of that, CL. They're still going off of that nonsense. And this has nothing to do with the violence and Antifa, BAMN, Black Lives Matter, all these different groups. They all subscribe to the same ideology, which is crush authority and subvert this country.
Well, check this out, man. There was another tweet that I saw in my feed that said, if this guy was not getting good health care, couldn't you call his attack self-defense? That is what's out there, brother. That is what is out there, and that's what we're facing. And let me ask you this now, shifting gears. Do you feel as though, talking about this thing is happening in San Francisco, UPS worker walks in, he has this thing going against his boss, his manager, and he takes out 3 people, including himself. Is there an angst, Jonathan T., that is brewing in this country? That was it always there? Are we seeing it now because of the media situation, the Facebook and all that type stuff, or was this something that was always there, or is this something new? How are you seeing that?
What we're seeing is I mean, I'm saying this not from a political standpoint. This is from a threat assessment-based standpoint. Haven't been a SEAL and an FBI agent, all these other things that I've done. I'm seeing subversion in this country, and that is where this is all coming from. It's these are all known tactics used by communist subversive groups, and we need to start educating ourselves in the line of what these tactics are, because they're not new. What you're seeing should not be a surprise to anybody. Was that the question that you asked me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's exactly it, Jonathan.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to start educating ourselves on, from a personal perspective, where you're vulnerable, where shootings and these types of things could happen. But overall, what is this whole system of hatred and angst and division? Those are all part of the process of subversion. And I tell people this: go look up Yuri Brezmenov on YouTube. Watch what he has to say. He defected during the Reagan era. He's dead now. And some of his talks are from 30 years ago, and he's predicting everything that's going to happen because he was a propaganda expert for the USSR.
Give us your how we get a hold of you again, folks. Jonathan T. Gilliam.
On Twitter at @JGilliam_SEAL, and on Facebook at Jonathan T. Gilliam, and then again, the nightly show, The Experts, 9 p.m. on or around 9 p.m. on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Listen, man, God bless you. God keep you. I know that you're going to continue to fight the good fight, because you are, my brother. God bless and keep you. Talk to you soon, Jonathan T.
You got it, my brother.
I'll be back in a minute. I'm CL Bryant. You can follow me on Twitter at Rev CL Bryant, at Rev CL Bryant. That was Jonathan T. And he said something here. There is an era of communism. Call it socialist propaganda. Call it socialism if you want to, but it's communism. Yeah, that's definitely beginning to creep in. Going to talk to you about the Saul Alinsky method of taking down a country when I return.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
CL, back with you on the home stretch of the C.L. Bryant Show. Oh, yeah, it has been a lot of conversation and information that we have been disseminating with you here today. I do want to remind each of you of the Father's Day Survival Kit, 318-320-5335, 318-320-5335. Not too late to get your name on the list for your daddy, your father, day, and we got a good one for him. It's a survival package. It's the Father's Day Survival Kit. That's what we're calling it. 318-320-5335, 320-5335, 318-320-5335. This is what's in the Father's Day Survival Kit. We're going to have Donald Trump's Art of the Deal in there. Going to have that in there. And we're also going to have a signed autographed copy of Runaway Slave. That's going to be in there. And we're also, Louis Avalone at Avalone Doors and Iron Works has donated 1 year free, no sweat maintenance plan, which includes 1 hour of a free handyman work in addition to a free checkup on that garage door. Give Dad a little downtime and read. Let him read. No, let him. Well, and read to him, I guess. But let him read and watch his favorite stuff on TV while someone else tackles the honey-do list. Give that gift to your father, and along with it will come Donald Trump's Art of the Deal. That book is great, and it's good to read it right now so you can understand. You can look into the mind of the president. You can look into the mind of the president 25, 30 years ago. And tell you the truth, all of it comes about right now. You can see how he operates. And of course, my movie Runaway Slave will be there. I'm beginning.
Jack is on the line.
I'll give you a signed autograph copy of Runaway Slave in that Father's Day Survival Kit. Opening up the lines now, we'll take some of your calls. Have some callers on the line, 318-320-5335. Jay, I think we'll take Jack. Jack, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, friend?
Hey, Reverend Brian, how you doing?
Doing great, brother.
Got several quick things.
Sure.
Bought and paid for a Clinton hack, Governor, what's his name, from Virginia.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Properly was on the pedestal responding to an emergency in his state. Then he turned it into gun control talk, cheerleading. That was disgusting.
And it was disgusting that we have this type of thing going on. That's Terry McAuliffe there in Virginia. Had to think of his name. He used to be Terry McAuliffe was a Clinton operative for a long time. In fact, him and Hillary Clinton were like peas in a pod. In fact, they got him elected governor of Virginia. That's what happened, Jack. And you know what happened. He got on immediately talking about gun violence.
Yes. Second thing, contagion theory is in the psychological textbooks, how it's an enthusiasm transference kind of thing. And I think that's what everybody's been sort of hitting around, is fearful that will happen.
Do you think that it's a contagion? There's a contagion going on. Is that what you're saying, Jack?
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Third thing, we're in the information age. We're in we're past post the industrial stage. We're in the information stage, and these people got to work. And with the information age, we now have the space available for the grievance industry. We have space available for the 24-hour news cycle, even though we don't have 24 hours of news.
Yeah,
And
you keep hearing the same things over and over again. But Jack, there's a programming. There's a programming. You said it, contagion. There's a programming that creates contagiousness.
exactly, exactly. And they wanted. And there's one thing, and I hate to use such a gross analogy, or it may be inappropriate analogy, but remember the good old days when Sunday was devoted to worship.
Yeah, yeah,
Now we have all of these media outlets and media sources competing, and I think church and the Word of God has lost a good part of its market share.
yeah, yeah. We have forgotten the Sabbath day, and Jack, you and I are same of the same ilk. We don't keep anything holy anymore.
Exactly.
Nothing
And
holy
Reverend,
anymore.
keep up the good work and have a good day.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Jack is absolutely right. There is, folks. Jack was saying that there's a contagion. And can't you just feel it? It's spreading through the blood system, the bloodline, the blood of America. It's spreading through the American bloodline. A contagion. I'll be back. CL home stretch of the Wednesday show, the CL Bryant Show. Thank you all for coming along with us on this great American journey. Let's make sure that that American journey continues. And on the line with us is one of our native sons, MP Dave. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your What's on your mind,
Good
my
evening.
friend?
Good evening, CL.
Doing great.
First off, I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. It's coming up, and everybody is listening.
Thank you, brother. God bless you. You too.
My second thought is Washington, D.C. is one of these no-carry zones, and, like Detroit, these places where you cannot carry concealed.
Yeah.
You have these problems.
Yeah.
If everybody can carry concealed, carry open,
Yeah.
you're not going to have these problems.
You're right, Dave.
You're not going to have as many, all right?
I agree.
I mean, it's frustrating.
I agree. Even in a gang infested area, Dave, if the gangs knew that armed citizens might be able to defend themselves, there would not. I'm telling you, man, there would not be so many of these young thugs taking shots at other people.
See, there's a law. There's a law that passed here in Louisiana. It didn't get voted in, but it's passed the committee, and it's to where if you're 21, not a felon, you can carry concealed for the state of Louisiana. And that is so good for the people that cannot afford. It's expensive to get a carry concealed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know the status of it. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant right now.
No.
But
you brought it to our attention.
The people in the areas that have these problems need to be able to carry concealed. If
Absolutely.
you're 21, not a felon, you should be able to carry a pistol in the state of Louisiana concealed.
Yeah, because
and it will stop these gangs.
Because you go through, once you're carrying concealed, you've been through the process. They've checked you out as far as that's concerned, and you've paid the money to do it, and so forth. But Dave, I want to thank you, man, for all that you are as an American. Thank you for having listened to the show and all of that, and God bless you and keep you, and I'll be talking to you soon.
One of these days we're going to meet up.
We'll cross trail. We'll see you on the trail, Dave.
God bless.
Dave. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, folks, that is exactly right as far as is concerned in places like the District of Columbia. Oh, yeah, nation's capital. Detroit. Hey, Chicago. Chicago has some of the toughest gun laws in the world. You know what's going on up there. California, same thing. No, it seems to me that where folks can't defend themselves against the enemies of decent society, you have this kind of atrocities going on. Yeah. I want to repeat the words of our Attorney General yesterday, Jeff Sessions. It is an outrageous and what kind of lie did he call it? But any lie that is being told about guns. But remember what Jonathan Gilliam said. My buddy Jonathan Gilliam, ex-Navy SEAL, and who is a special agent of the FBI, and I have friends like that around the country. And all of them, they have this certain mindset, and, I have it, and most of you, MP Dave just got off the phone with him, he has that mindset. I think most good Americans do. And I really believe that. This is what I believe most Americans who are right-headed, right-thinking, understand, and it's what Jonathan Gilliam said, and I hope you agree with this. He said that since you and I, we've never founded a country, we never started a country. And when we think about the founding fathers of this country who put into the rights, the Bill of Rights that Americans ought to have, the second one that they put there was designed to defend the first. And you know what that second right that Americans have in the Bill of Rights? the right to bear arms. They, the people who started a country, you and I have never done that, but they were wise enough to think and to say that if you're going to keep your country and if you're going to keep it civil against those who would invade the peace, y'all going to have to carry guns. You're going to have the right to carry guns against lawbreakers. Yeah. And the right to be a good citizen depends on others, because remember, James Madison, mine went blank. But anyway, this country was created for a moral and religious people. In other words, people who were responsible enough not to abuse the gun that they were carrying, but to use the gun that they were carrying to make sure that law and order and a moral and religious people remained moral and religious, not by force, but by the fact that they didn't want you to do harm to anyone else. Oh, you ought to examine that thought. I'm CL. Be right back to close it out.
I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes and lightning. I see bad times today. Don't go around tonight, or it's bound to take your life. If you had not have fallen, then I I would not have found you. Angel flying too close to the ground.
Well, it's time to call it a day. And I certainly hope that you rest well tonight, knowing that there is still a thin blue line out there seeing the underbelly of society so that you and your family can sleep in peace tonight. I thank God for them, that thin blue line. When I think about the sign that this shooter, who is now dead, was carrying at a rally, the sign read, "Tax the rich," like Congress did for 70 years till Reagan trickled down. Folks, anybody carrying a sign like that never wants to be rich. Are you hearing me? Any young person who espouses that type of thing never wants to be rich. They can't see themselves ever succeeding. And I'm not saying that everybody's going to be rich. Everybody won't. I'm not rich. I know a lot of people think I am, but I am not. And, and a lot of people may look at you and think you are. That's just all perspective. But I can tell you this, the poorest people among us are college students. Unless they come from, the Vanderbilts or the Trumps, they're poor. But the idea that's been feeding into their mind is that the rich need to pay their way. That is wrong. And that's what led to the mindset of this guy who did something so stupid. It's almost incomprehensible. As Thomas Jefferson told us, though, the price of our liberty will be eternal vigilance. We must be on guard and be on watch against people who will steal away the peace of our law and order. And then we must be prepared to answer the question, what are we prepared to do about it? A better question, what are you prepared to do about it? Let's make sure that we restore, starting right now, law and order. Well, I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day, and I want to thank Him for our men and women in uniform around the globe who defend our right to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL, and may God bless and keep you all.
Behind, we'll stand by your side, and the bond will never be torn. For those